Hello and welcome to the very first ever episode of Skyrim Diaries on Little Big Art Studio with me, McQueen, where I talk about the mods that we have on PlayStation 4, where mods are going, what things are happening, and things that I know about the mods. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the mods I'm using in my series. That's the main purpose of this episode, because people have asked which mods I am using. I'm sure you all know the background to Skyrim, which is it was designed by two artists, Adamowicz and Ray Lederer. I hope I said them correctly. They designed the entire world that you see in Skyrim. So since November the 11th, 2011, when the game first came out, the only thing that could have made it cooler if it was the Year of the Dragon, Chinese Year of the Dragon, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Yeah, since that came out, we've all been enthralled and hooked. But it is the modding that has kept the game going. So I'm going to talk about the mods that I've used to make my playthrough quite cinematic and a lot more enjoyable, and just better for you as a viewer. The footage I've got running in the background is of my Snow Elf character, a modded character, because as you probably well know, you can't have a Snow Elf standardly. Right, so let's get into the notes of what we've actually got in there, the mods, and yeah, what is actually running to keep the playthrough looking the way it does and entertaining for you guys. So I've got quite a few, so it's quite a long list, so bear with me, and I'll tell you the reasons behind me putting them in there, or what they do or anything like that. Skyrim is windy. Well, this one's pretty explanatory. You can see it here on the screen right now while I'm fighting this bear. All the brush and everything, the trees, the leaves, everything moves, and yeah, that's a definite thing. I want it to look quite so Skyrim is windy, and that's by Gorgala. No, I'm hoping I'm saying these names right as well. There's loads of strange online names. Some of them are ported mods, so if these aren't the original modders, then let me know in the comments, and I'll put our secondary video with the correct information in. And yeah, anyway, horses have imperial saddles by Vanderol. That's just a personal preference. I quite like the imperials. I like their armour. I know another famous YouTuber complains about them wearing skirts. Not too fussed about the uniform. I prefer the silver shiny uniform to the boring dull yeah blue thing from Stormcloaks. And not only that, I prefer the ideals of the Imperials over the ideals of what the Nords stand for. But I may do a playthrough after this one with all, a sort of true Nord kind of character. But let me know whether you think that's a good idea or not. Anyway, so the next one is wooden bridges. As you probably would have seen, even in like the second or first episode, even coming out of Riverwood, there isn't a stone bridge. It's now a wooden bridge. There's a few other bridges that have been changed as well in there. It just makes it a bit more interesting. Carriage driver overhaul, Warriors for Hire by Chinooks. Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you who by Wooden Bridges was by. Wooden Bridges is by Roger H9000. Right, next one is Carriage driver overhaul, Warriors for Hire by Chinooks. Reason for that one is I don't use carriages that much anyway, and it says these are toughened seasoned drivers for driving around with bandits about and dragons and such like. So I thought it'd be a good fun one to have, but it does cost a fortune to get on their carriage because you're paying for these skills aboard. So when you finally can afford a carriage, you really feel like you've arrived. So that'll be a good idea. Dense Grass PS4 by Shroud Legacy is the next one. So there's a lot more vegetation in this one than there will be in the standard game if you're playing it without any mods, and that just adds a bit more. Water and terrain enhancement Redux by Sparrow Prince. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory what that does. Sorts out the water and terrain. Better Horses by Paul Brun. Yep, I got really annoyed with horses attacking everything. Just let me do the combat. You stay where I put you. So that's what that does. Leaves the horses there. Greenhouse Plus by Relimus. That adds some new stuff that we can use doing greenhouses. And you may have noticed already in my playthrough, I've picked up a route that you can generally only get from the Dark Brotherhood quest line. I noticed that one. And that keeps respawning in Arcadia's Cauldron in Whiterun. I think it's Arcadia's Cauldron. So in there, yeah, check that. That allows you to do that, but it also allows you to use stuff from Dawnguard. You can cultivate that and grow it in your own greenhouse when you have your own house. So I think that's a good mod. Right, so Better Docks by Dark Wolf Modding. I put that one in for obviously better docks. There's a bit more going on at the docks, so they're a bit more lively. Ruins of Winterhold by Scar001. I think that's a fantastic mod. I've actually checked a lot of these mods out already because I had to test whether they worked or not. And yeah, that's really nice. When you see it in the playthrough, it will look really good because I will be going to the College of Winterhold very soon. Better City Entrances by Dark Wolf Modding again. That adds something. We've already seen it as I went to Whiterun on the playthrough. And so that's in there. Better Solitude Throne Room PS4 by Shroud Legacy. Now I haven't checked that one out yet, and I haven't even checked that out on my other games, but I'm hoping there's no conflicts there or any problems with the characters in there, because otherwise I'll have to delete that one or try and find a way around it. Anyway, well, yeah, that just improves the throne room with Elisif. What we got? Realistic. Oh. Silence of the Divines. That's made by Manny GT. That makes it silent in the where you go to places where you worship, etc. So that's just an audio mod. Hold Border Banners by Thicketford. Well, we've seen them as well. The banners marking the territories of each hold within Skyrim. Magical College Winterhold by Sable17. That adds a bit more for the College Winterhold. Realistic Conversations by Gorgala. This improves conversations with the characters in towns and that. Very helpful for my playthrough. Supreme and Volumetric Fog by Manny GT. Weather improvements. The Watchtowers Special Edition by Manny GT. Right, all along the coast there is watchtowers, and you'll see them as I wander the coast and do things like that in the playthrough. They add, and they've all got chests inside. They add a little bit extra into the world of Skyrim, and it's like a northern sort of protection, I suppose, military protection. It's quite good. Waves by Prometheus. Yeah, waves on the shores. That adds a little bit. It does swallow up a little bit of the land, I've noticed, over vanilla, but it's and certainly adds more than it takes away. I'll tell you that much. Spell-like Dynamic Shadows by Artificial, which is AR715. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, that just adds dynamic shadows to when you're casting candlelight, which is definitely helpful. So the shadows move and that, rather than just being static. Invincible Dogs of Skyrim by Mika Ghost. That's a personal preference of mine. Dogs dying on you all the time. I mean, later on, you take a dog out with you, it can be dead within seconds. It's really frustrating. Rain and Snow Effects by Chesco. You've already noticed, when I'm in cold areas, the character gets frosted up, so poor old Tyrannus, yeah, turns to a nice block, and it happened. And you'll see it a lot more in the upcoming episodes, in the fights with the dragons, which, yeah, the reason why the dragons are so fantastic, and we'll get into that. Law-based loading screens by Chesco. Well, that doesn't affect you guys, that's personal preference. Manor Roads by Arthmore. Manor Roads puts roads to all your places where you can have a home. I am having a problem getting the home from Dawnguard, so if anyone knows there's a reason why that is. I have looked online, and it says you need to do some quests, some miscellaneous quests to unlock it, and if that's the case, it's quite frustrating. Dog followers are Huskies, yeah, I quite like them. No barking, silent stealth. Barking doesn't work for PS4. Yeah, I've noticed that. But I prefer Huskies, so I've changed that. Point the Way by Arthur Moore. I've improved the signage around Skyrim. Surreal Lighting by Arundel. Well, you've seen that in action all the time. The lighting is very changed over vanilla. Okay, Dragon Tweaks by Tobes of Sweden. Yeah, you'll see this in upcoming episodes. Episodes 6, 7, I think 8. There's a couple of dragon fights that are just fantastic to watch, really cinematic. Riften Supreme, a Riften Overhaul. I haven't seen that in action either, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Logging Skyrim by Trotsky. This allows me to just pick logs from trees. Annoyingly, when you cut firewood, it does 10 pieces of firewood at a time. Can over encumber you really quickly, and also it saves a lot of time, but it also takes something away from the game a little bit, I find, but it feels a little bit cheating to me. Summon Fenrir, the Fire Wolf by Bear. Well, that's just something I thought would be really good for us to have, and we'll discover that tome when and where we come across it. Immersive Civil War units by Catastrophe. Well, that's just so there's better when I'm doing the Civil War quest line. There'll be more varied units to interact with, and they'll be wearing not all the same, exactly the same armour. Werewolf Replacer Wendigo by Frosty the Dark. I haven't seen, I'm not entirely sure what that does. It just replaces some random encounters with werebears, I think. So that'll be a bit more interesting when we do have random encounters, once I get into the Dawnguard quest line. Mammoth Pelts by Nisinuket. I think I said that, I hope I said that wrong. Right, and I've probably said it wrong though. Yeah, this just adds pelts to the mammoths, which is pretty self-explanatory. Mammoth pelts are fantastic. I really like the idea of be able to get pelts off them. I mean, there's all that fur. You would be able to utilise it in real life. Right, where are we? Mammoth. Cooking, brewing and alchemy. You've already seen that. I've mentioned that in the playthrough. That just improves all the cooking, brewing and alchemy options. And it's by Incubex Del Race. Birds and Flocks by Steve 40. That adds more birds and flocks to the environments and areas, and bats as well in caves and things. So we'll see that slowly come into play. A Glass Weapon Recolor by Cyan 49. That's a currently test mod, so I haven't really seen what that looks like. But it changes the colour, so there's sort of bluey glass or orange type glass, and it looks quite good. It's quite interesting. Fallen Trees by Scar 001. And Go Away Map Clouds by Mika Go. Fallen Trees, it adds some fallen trees. Some of them are fallen at an angle and look a bit strange. I've come across a few of those already, but for the most part it's pretty good, and it adds different bridges, natural bridges that perhaps people would have thrown up if there wasn't a bridge for miles around. They'd have thrown down a tree or whatever. You would do that, especially with the amount of bandits running around Skyrim. So yeah, it just adds a little bit more to the playthrough, mostly visual, and yeah, so that's what has made the playthrough the way it is. Now, final thing I'm going to do before we finish this, I am going to mention where you can, other channels that I watch that perhaps you could go and see and check out, and I'll tell you why I watch them. So first of all, Gopher. I'm currently watching his Skyrim Enderal playthrough, which is a modded version of Skyrim on PC. A complete overhaul. It's like a different game almost. It looks the same or looks similar, but yeah, the terrain layout's different, the magic system's different, the gameplay, the story, that's brilliant. Just I'm really enjoying that. MMXR does modding, talks about modding, very funny, very entertaining, but yeah, he does 10-minute shows, and lots of them. I'm sure you're all quite familiar with him. Fudge Muppet come up with lots of good character ideas. Fudge Muppet are really good. They do a lot of ideas, and that's where I've got a few ideas for characters I've played. I've even tried to play a few of their ideas, like the pirate and so on and so forth. Maluka, if you don't know who Maluka is, well, I occasionally pop in on our streams. If you want to meet me on Twitch or you want to say hello to me, I'm DoverMcQueen. Oh, Doverkin McQueen. Yeah, that's right. And I occasionally watch her streams. She does music. She did the music for the Elder Scrolls. I think the bards in Elder Scrolls Online. So yeah, and she also did a lot of covers of like Dragonborn, and people have put it to the adverts. And yeah, if you don't know who Maluka is, just check her out. She's fantastic. Camelworks, he does lots of stuff of where to get rare items and quests that perhaps you aren't immediately obvious. Tells you how to go about those. Yeah, so he does a similar sort of thing. Finally, Seb and Cam, who do talk about their character Kevin Van Nord, and they do mainly Xbox mods, but it does highlight a few mod ideas that will be coming to PS4, and things that, you know, perhaps we can highlights, perhaps the mod authors that we can contact. I mean, I spoke to a mod author because there was one mod I was particularly interested in, Frostfall, and I asked whether that would ever be coming to PS4, and he said it's not possible because of the, I think because of the way that Sony have said you're only allowed to use in-game assets to mod it. So it's a bit of a shame, really. But the one final thing to mention: Skyrim Book Club podcasts. Everyone's been saying for years somebody should sit down and read the books, and I mentioned about doing it on my playthrough, but I won't need to. And if you have an iPhone, you have podcasts, look up Skyrim Book Club podcasts, and they have every single book by book order and someone reading them out. I've been listening to a few of those while I've been doing things, you know, while I'm cooking or whatever else I'm doing. So yeah, there's a whole, I hope that whole plethora of information was useful to you in some way, helpful. If there's any mods you would like me to check out, please let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to check out a few mods or do a mod review. I'd happily do that for Skyrim. As you probably can guess, I absolutely love Skyrim, and I've really enjoyed bringing it to the channel, and I look forward to watching, you know, to doing more of the playthrough and getting further in with Tyrannus. I think the character is going to develop and get really, really interesting and go forward from here. But yeah, so I won't take any more of your time. I've taken way too much of your time. I mean, this is really running into like nearly 20 minutes, so it's a long video. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye bye. We're in trouble, girl. This guy is tough.